Are you wondering how people take like 6, 7, 10 trips a year? I took 7, and no, they were not financed by a man. So let me tell you how. I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to travel more. So let's get started. So my first tip, while I'm making my HelloFresh, so today I'm doing the creamy chicken Caesar lettuce wrap. My first tip is going to be open up a high yield savings account. So you have a ton of options in order to do this, but I'm going to recommend Ally. So I have a high yield savings account with Ally, and part of the reason I recommend them is because you could do savings buckets. So if you have multiple trips, you can make an account for all of those trips. It doesn't have to be in just like one place. At my Ally account, I have a savings bucket for travel, emergency fund, my student loans, my taxes. And so they're all in one account, but it separates the money out. And so it's a great way to save. The other plus side of using a high yield savings is that you actually end up getting more because your interest rates are going to be higher than your typical savings account at, say, Chase or Wells Fargo. So instead of like 0.01, which they give you like what, 2-3 pennies a year, you're getting like 4 and 5%. And so in one of my high yields, I'm getting like $150 a month. And we all need an extra $150, if you know what I'm saying. So my first tip is open up a high yield savings account. I do send about, I would say anywhere from like $100 to $200 every time I get paid because I budget in traveling because I want to travel all the time. All right, so tip number 2. My tip number 2 is going to be credit cards. So last year I started out January. I did Thailand for about 10 days. I did Bangkok and Phuket. I actually flew on miles from my Chase card. And one of my hotels was also covered by that same Chase card. So I would get the Chase card. I'm going to tell you what it is in a second. So February, I did Mexico City. And then came back from Mexico City. I was in New York for a while. I had to slow down my travel. And I went to Curacao in May. In July, I took my mom and my niece to the Bahamas, and I sent my nephew to South Africa with his school. And then in August, I spent some time in Cali, and then I went to Fort Lauderdale, and then I went to Disney. And so in all of those trips, I did different expenses on my credit cards to make sure I'm maximizing my points to fund some of those travels. So like my hotels and my flights. So I'm going to give you my top 3 credit cards. So the top 3 credit cards that I would advise someone starting out to get. So I would suggest you get Bilt. So Bilt is the credit card that you can utilize to pay your rent. So instead of having to pay a fee if you use a different card, you can use Bilt. You also are earning points. So you get 1 times the points for the amount that your rent is. Keep in mind, I live in New York City, in Harlem, in a 1-bedroom. So you can only guesstimate what my rent is like. After you pay your rent, you have to use the card 5 more times. But they do have some decent benefits for like dining. And you can earn 3 times the points with that. I have a snack machine downstairs. Yes, I know I'm on a healthy kick, but sometimes I be needing a little chocolate. And so I head down there and grab something. And that's typically how I use my other 5 times that I need to use. What I love about this card is there's also no annual fee. So after Bilt, the next card I would consider is the Chase Sapphire, the preferred. Now, none of the cards I'm naming are going to get you lounge access. Sorry. But you could use the points from these cards to get a business class flight that will get you into the lounge. So there's another way around it. So what I would suggest is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Now, the reason why I'm saying the preferred is because with the preferred, you're actually going to be able to I don't know. To me, it's like this magical card that unlocks all of the Chase stuff. So if you have a different Chase card, say the Freedom Unlimited, Once you get the Sapphire Preferred or the Reserve, you can now start transferring it to airlines and hotels. So if you don't have those cards, you can't do that. You also get 3 times the points on dining, 2 times the points on travel. So if you live in New York, use that Chase card when you get on the subway. Get those quick points. You knew you were going to spend the money anyway, so just spend it on your card, and then every Friday, pay it off. The next card that I would suggest, if you like to grocery shop and go out to eat, is the American Express Gold Card. Now, I love this card because I live in New York City. There's always a new restaurant I need to try, and I'm trying to get all the points. So I use that card specifically when I'm going out to eat and for restaurants. I also use it normally after I'm like booking a flight that's not on Delta, because I do have a Delta card. But when I'm booking a flight that's not on Delta, that is when I will also pull out that card to get the 3 times the points on travel. So that's tip number 2. Get a credit card, put all your spending on it, accept your rent because you need to get the bill to pay your rent. But the other 2, because you want to be able to get those points and miles and be able to transfer them. If you ever have questions about how to transfer your points and miles, I have videos on my YouTube that you can watch, and it walks you through it. So I show you my Chase account. I then show you how I transferred. And keep in mind, the reason I'm pushing them is that I'm actually going to London round trip, and I only use like 7,000 miles a person. So I text one of my friends, was like, hey, come to London with me. And I bought her flight because it was cheap. They had a transfer bonus. And there's always transfer bonuses. So you got to keep an eye out for these things. All right, let's do my final tip. So my final tip, if you want to travel more in 2025 and beyond, shopping portals. So we all want to go to Sephora or order HelloFresh, as you see me over here making this Caesar salad dressing. Instead of just buying the stuff and going straight to their sites or walking into the department store, Delta has a shopping portal. So does JetBlue. So does American Airlines. You could go to those sites and then order whatever it is you want, do in-store pickup, and earn miles. And you don't have to have a credit card to do that. You can do that with your debit card. One of the really big ones that you should use is Rakuten. I'll send a link to it. And it's like an extension on your browser. And so anytime you're shopping on a site like ASOS, Pretty Little Thing, it'll pop up and tell you how many points you can earn back or cash back. So Rakuten sends your earnings to you every 3 months or every 4 months. So you either earn American Express rewards, which is what I currently earn, or you earn cash. So if you earn cash, you can have it deposited into your PayPal. And if you earn the American Express, you can have that just sent to your American Express account. So then you end up with a ton of either PayPal money that you can use to pay for your flights or more miles to pay for your flights. So these are my top 3 tips to be able to travel more. High yield savings account, because remember, you want to save for those experiences. We don't want to be out the country and not being able to afford to go on that hot air balloon. 2, figure out the credit cards you want. I gave you my top 3 that I would start with, but figure out what really meets your needs. Look at your spending, find cards that meet your spending. And then number 3, don't just shop. Go to shopping portals so that you can earn points, and also use Rakuten. Let me know if you have questions about any of these, and let me know what trips are you now going to take because you got these tips.